Hi, it's Daphne. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to tell you my top non-romance books. So if you haven't seen it already, I did this for my top romance books. I will link that up in the corner for you if you want to check it out. These are my top books that are obviously not romance. I had to make them their own category because I read like 90% romance, so I felt like it was only fair to treat those separately. I have 5 books I want to discuss in this video. The first one I read way back in maybe like January, February, and it is Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent. And this was very well done. I felt like I read this forever and a year ago, not just the beginning of 2022. But this is about like caste systems and how we see them in American society with obviously racism and how systemic things are in our societies and our structures of how society is run and the history of the caste systems in America. And the author also draws comparisons to caste systems in India. India has famously had its caste system for a very, very long time. And it also draws comparison to things that were happening in World War II with the caste systems that were being designed to do the horrible things that were done. And a lot of the things that these like Nazis were basing their systems off of came from what they saw happening in America that was like working to like keep Black people down, you know? So I just found it really informative and eye-opening and thought-provoking, and I would definitely like listen to it again. I listened to it on audio, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone that's ready to have their eyes opened, and hopefully everybody's, you know, willing to listen to the hard truth. A hard read, but very amazing. I gave it 5 stars. Would recommend it to anybody. That's the only nonfiction book I have on this list. The rest are fiction. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the 5th season. I ended up giving this 4 stars, but I still really enjoyed it. It's very interesting. It also has to do a little bit with caste systems as well, where there are people that have these powers that are looked upon by the broader society as like horrible and evil, and they just don't want to be associated with them or anything. This story is about 3 females in different stages of their lives. So it's like a young girl, a young woman, and then a mother. You learn about this magic and you learn about how they're being treated poorly and used. The little girl, she discovers that she has this power, and the first thing her parents do are like shun her to the barn in the back with like no blankets, no food, no nothing, and they call this like government guy to basically take her away. And that's just like so sad. And then the other story is of a young woman who works in this organization, and then the mother storyline is after a natural catastrophe happens and she discovers that her child has been kidnapped by the father. So she's on a mission to get her child back. The magic in the story is all related to like the earth. This world is very tumultuous, like a tumultuous landscape. So there have been like different instances of 5th seasons. It's just like any kind of natural disaster. They're all different, with like maybe like fire raining down or like earthquakes for years and years and years. Like, I don't know. I don't remember the details. I'm gonna reread it to finish the series. I have the other 2 books here. But yeah, I really thought it was thought-provoking. I think my expectations going in were like way sky high, so kind of brought down my rating to 4, but I still really loved it, and I am really excited to get to the rest of the series, considering that I own it already. I was that excited. The next book that I want to talk about as one of my top non-romance books is Sign Here. I got this recently from Book of the Month for my October selection. This is a comedic thriller about a soul in hell that's trying to sign people's souls away. It gets more emotional and dark as the story goes on. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be funny the whole way through, which it isn't. It's still very entertaining in that aspect, but it isn't just like a ha-ha book. But honestly, I had to put it on this list for the way that it ended. I just remember getting to the end being like, oh my God, I can't believe that's the truth of everything that's gone on, this big reveal, and I just closed the book and I sat there on my couch for like a few minutes and then just started crying because it was just so touching. It was so touching, and it just like made you reflect on everything and all the effort that this character was going through. And then the choice that they made at the end, I was just like, wow, what a ride. I loved it. I loved it. Like, the thriller part is fine. I wouldn't say it's like a thriller for people that are familiar with thrillers, but if you're new to it, this is a really good book to like start you in on thriller, in my opinion. I should add this as my recommendations for my other video. So yeah, definitely love this. The next book on this list is How High We Go in the Dark. This is a short story collection by the same author. All the short stories kind of tie together. It's a bit of a sci-fi, and it's mainly about grief and death. I just thought it was so beautiful, so emotional, so creative, and I absolutely loved it. I actually picked this for my in real life book club, and I had a lot of the group in tears. It will definitely make you cry. It's written by, I believe, a Japanese American author, and you can see that tied in to the story a lot. A lot of the characters are Japanese American or just Japanese. When we go back to Japan for some of the stories, I am learning that I really enjoy sci-fi and like space travel when they tie in the science part. Like, I'm not just here to like get on a ship and be like, yeah, we're in space. I like knowing the science part of stuff, and this did a bit of that. The main thread between the stories is that there was a virus that was killing a lot of the children around the world, and then it evolves and starts to kill some of the adults, and then society starts to transform where the death industry has kind of taken over. So what people are doing with their bodies after death, how people are like euthanizing their loved ones, how people are grieving and treating the bodies before cremating them, and just like, I don't know. It was just like so many unique things in it, talking about grief, that I just found very beautiful and emotional, and it had to have 5 stars. It was amazing. I would definitely recommend it. I will say it will be tougher to read if you've lost a loved one recently or that wound is still really raw, because it will put that on display in some of these stories, and I'm sure the relatability of it will be really emotional. All right, and then on a more fun note, but still related to death, I have my favorite book that is not a romance, and it is, to no surprise to anyone if you've been around, it's The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I don't even remember when I picked it up, but it was a few months ago, so I've been shouting from the rooftops about this book for a minute now, and it's still held up. It was still the top of the charts for me. I absolutely am obsessed, in love with this book, and I can't wait to reread it once I've forgotten some of the details. I mean, I've already kind of forgotten some of the details, but I need more time because I don't know, it's just so good. I can't wait to reread it one day. Definitely pick this up. If you don't know, this is a mystery with a fantasy Groundhog's Day kind of situation. So this man, he wakes up and he's in this manor filled with our cast of characters, and he's told by this like mystical death being that Evelyn Hardcastle is going to die, and he has to figure out who killed her if he wants to get out of this time loop. The best part about this, that I don't know if it's really a spoiler. I don't think it's a spoiler. Oh no, it's not a spoiler. Okay. The main part of the Groundhog's Day that I was obsessed with is that he wakes up in a different body of each guest every day. So I think there's maybe like, say, 8 guests, and he'll wake up in each one, and he has until he gets to the end of the cycle to figure out who killed Evelyn Hardcastle. Otherwise, he'll forget everything that happened leading up through those people. It's complicated. It's complicated, but it's so good. And like, I went into this, like, I was kind of intrigued. I started it on audio, but I didn't really remember what it was about. So when it was revealed that he was like in a different body, I was like, oh my God. But it's on the back, it's not a spoiler. So yeah, I absolutely loved it, highly recommend it. It's pretty long, it's about 500 pages, but like everything that happens is important. Like everything that's going on is like a clue. Don't just feel like you're like, oh, this is fluff, it's fluff, it's fluff, it's fluff, and then the villain just tells you everything at the end. Like this is like, oh, like put the puzzle pieces together. So yeah, when I reread it, I'm excited to like see the puzzle pieces better. Great, great time. I recommend this all the time to the people I know in real life. Absolutely loved. Those are all of the non-romance books I absolutely loved in 2022. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye!